أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Today is Monday, the 29th of April 2024. I greet everybody, and today we continue our elaboration and explanation on the divine principle from a new Islamic perspective. And my name Abdelmoumin Ibrahim Ahmed. And today we are going to talk about a very controversial topic, resurrection. As you all know, that resurrection was mentioned and in the Quran in a very strong way and persistent way and repeated way. And of course, it is also mentioned in the Bible. And the Quran, of course, has two concepts about life and about death. And so now we are going to talk about the meaning of life and the meaning of death and the meaning of spiritual resurrection and the meaning of physical body resurrection. This is our topic today. People generally, they believe that the verses in the Quran which talk about resurrection are literally in the meaning, and they do not interpret them metaphorically, or they do not take them as symbolic verses, and they think that all those people who died and their bodies were decomposed and they are going to be they will come out from their graves in the last days. This is well established in Islam and in Christianity as well. As you know that resurrection, it is either a spiritual resurrection or a physical resurrection. This is because life, we have a spiritual life and also we have physical life. Our spiritual life is internal, and spiritual life means our internal life, our feeling, our conscience, our belief, our faith, our consciousness and conscience. All these things are internal building of our inner self. And of course, there is a physical life, which is our body, our physical body, our external body. This is also clear and for everybody to understand it. And so there is also a spiritual death and physical death. Spiritual death is dullness of the spirit internally. It is a misposition of conscience and the low level of consciousness and other components of our inner self, like heart and intellect, are all affected, really affected by spiritual death. Spiritual death is a kind of a paralyze for our internal existence, while of course physical death is the finishing of our physical life, and finally people will die. So when people were physically, their body died, we can say that this is a physical death, and the body is going to be buried on the ground, while the spirit will go up to the spiritual. The Quran says, "Is he who was dead, then we gave him life and made for him a light by which he walks among the people, like he who is in total darkness and cannot get out of it." That says like that, أَمَّنْ كَانَ مَيْتًا فَأَحْيَيْنَاهُ وَجَعَلْنَا لَهُ نُورًا يَمْشِي بِهِ بَيْنَ النَّاسِ كَمَنْ مِثْلِهِ فِي الظُّلُمَاتِ. طبعا لا يستويان. It's not very different. It says that people who are with God, they are alive. They can listen to God's word. and because they receive life from God. But other people who were in darkness, they are dead. So that means life is a spiritual life. This is in the Quran. And death is a spiritual death, not physical death, actually. Also, the Quran says, only those who listen will respond. As for the dead, God will resurrect them. Then to him they will be returned. إنما يستجيب الذين يسمعون إنما يستجيب الذين يسمعون والموتى يبعثهم الله ثم إليه يرجعون. So that means the people who are responding to God, they are alive and they receive more life. And those who are spiritually dead, they have to be resurrected again. They need to go to life again. That means actually they are dead now. So that means life of faith. The people who have faith, who have love for God and love for mankind, and who are leading a straight life, those people are alive. While those who have no faith and they are not doing good things, they are dead, though they are physically alive, but actually spiritually they are dead. There's so many verses which really correspond to this understanding, and really we can interpret them in such way. So also the Quran says they are dead, not alive, and they do not know when they will be resurrected. أموات غير أحياء وما يشعرون أيان يبعثون. So that mean people are dead. Those who are far from God, they think they are alive, but in fact they are dead. They don't know. هم لا يعلمون ما يعلمون أيان يبعثون. So we can say that there is the grave of the body. Of course, we can say that spirit, the body is like the grave of the spirit. If the spirit is dead, then the body became like a grave of the spirit. And actually, most of us are living like that. Our spirit became like buried in our physical body. Why? Because our life is totally controlled and dominated by our physical desires and our physical needs. And actually our spiritual part, internal part, is suffering and completely dumped under the rubbles of our physical desires and our physical needs. So our physical bodies became like the grave for our spiritual body, spiritual self. This we can understand like that. Therefore, physical resurrection is different from spiritual resurrection, because the physical grave of the body, when people died, they will be put in their grave. So our grave, the grave will be for the bodies. The grave is not, the physical grave is not for the spirit. When people die, their spirit will not stay with them in their graves. The spirit goes to where it comes from, spiritually, and the body goes to where it comes from, the earth, the physical world. Therefore, we can understand there is physical resurrection and spiritual resurrection. Which one is more important for God and for religious life? Of course, spiritual resurrection, because our problem is internal. It's not really, of course, it's expressed externally, but originally and in its essence, it is an internal problem in our hearts, in our mind, and of course in our will and actions. Therefore, we have to think more seriously about spiritual resurrection. But because man is completely subjected by his physical life and physical needs and physical way of understanding or thinking, the Quran expressed the phenomena of spiritual resurrection through physical resurrection. Because people at that time, when the Quran was revealed, people at that time, they cannot comprehend the real internal spiritual entity, like a spiritual self, a spiritual body, a spiritual mind. And people, they believe that when they died, khalas, it's finished. They don't understand there is a life after this. Therefore, the Quran strongly and insisted to express, to tell the people about the resurrection. It's a kind of a physical resurrection. And actually, there is a great debate about this point in the Quran, especially in Surah Yasin. So this takes us to, leads us to the final resurrection. Final resurrection. This means that there is a final hour, a final day for the complete resurrection. It is called Resurrection Day. It's called Yom al-Qiyamah. It is a Qiyamah day when people will all be, they will raise from their graves for the Judgment Day. And of course, in Islamic understanding, the last days, all people will die, and after they die, they are going to be resurrected from their death, all of them. Actually, this interpretation of the phenomena need to be re-understood. Of course, even in Islamic philosophy, Islamic philosophers, they couldn't accept physical resurrection because they said logically it is impossible. There is no logic behind it. And this created a big debate, and really the philosophers were put in the corners. Anyhow, generally, people think that our physical death, of course, people generally, they live and they die. Finally, they have to die. Many people think that this death incidence was, how to say, is a result of the fall of Adam and Eve. That means originally, when Adam and Eve were in the Garden of Eden before the fall, if they didn't eat from the tree, if they didn't touch the tree, they are going to live eternally. They will not die. And this concept was the origin of the idea that this physical death, that our physical bodies died, this physical death is a result of the fall of man. But is this really true? If Adam and Eve didn't fall from the Garden of Eden, is it really true that they are not going to die? Is this came out as a result of the fall of man? I don't think so. If Adam and Eve didn't eat from the tree of eternity, or the tree of life, and if they didn't fall, still they are going to die physically. This has nothing to do, our physical death has nothing to do with the fall of man. Physical death is a very natural physiological phenomenon. All creation, plants, animals, and human beings, all physically created beings, they die. And actually, death is a, how to say, is a high level of existence. Low level of existence, they don't experience death. Why? Because they don't experience life. Therefore, to die means that you are in a higher level. And human beings, especially when they die, when they die, actually they didn't die. They didn't die, actually. They are going to be resurrected. They are going to go to the spirit world and live there. Therefore, physical death is a natural process, whether man fell or not fell, people are going to die. And also, perfected man, the perfect man, also is going to die, no matter how much he realized imperfection line, he is going to die, because this has nothing to do with perfection, you know. This is natural process, nothing to do with the fall of man, and nothing to do with the perfection of man. Even people in the kingdom of God here on earth, they are going to die. This is a very important point. Actually, our physical life, all our life actually, it looks like the life of the butterfly, for example, the butterfly and the caterpillars. Actually, in the Quran, there is 2 verses expressing that, telling us that my resurrection is like the birth or the coming out of the insects from their cocoons. He said resurrection is like coming out from cocoons. So that means man life looks like the life of the butterfly, for example. The butterfly starts from an egg, then it becomes the larva. The larva. Actually, our physical life here on earth is like the life of the larva. If you see a larva, it is a kind of a worm which is climbing the trees and the leaves and continuously eating. And it has eyes, it has sensation organs, it has legs, and it is really like a complete being. And suddenly they change their structure, and they became like a strong body, a cocoon actually. And then after a few days, this cocoon will be broken, and a butterfly will come out and flying on the air, you know. So this process similar to the life of human being. We were started from our mother's womb, then we were born on the earth, and then when we die, we go through a short cocoon stage. Some people they say 3 days, some people they say 40 days. Anyhow, and then after that we come out flying in the spirit world like the butterflies. So this is the human life. People, they don't understand because they don't see, most of the people, sorry, they don't see the spirituality and they don't see spirit. This is a tragedy of mankind, actually. This is a source of our suffering. This is why people, they suffer about death. Those who are dying and those who are alive, when they're dead, beloved ones, they leave this earth, they are not happy and suffering for their death. But actually, if they can see the spirit, if they can see the physical the spiritual life, then people will be happy. They will not be really sad like what is going on today when people die. Anyhow, we have to say that Adam and Eve, after they eat from the tree, they continue their life. Actually, in the Quran didn't say that Adam and Eve, after they eat from the tree, they died. God warned Adam and Eve, and he said to them, if you eat from the tree, you will suffer from misfortune. You will be in a misfortune life. This is the Quran saying. In the Bible, it says a different story. It says, when you eat, you are going to die. This is why in the Judeo-Christian culture, it's well established that the physical death is a result of the fall of man. But in the Quran, the story is different. So the death caused by the fall is not a physical death. Rather, it is a spiritual death. The death caused by the fall of man is not physical death. Yeah, there is death caused by the fall of man. Something serious happened. Actually, it is more serious than the physical death. That death is spiritual death. What is spiritual death? The spiritual death to be cut from God and to be under the dominion of Satan, under sovereignty of Satan, Lucifer, instead of the dominion and sovereignty of God. This is a spiritual death. And actually, this is the situation in which we are all living today. Unfortunately, this is our situation. This is our reality. So, Satan's sovereignty is the sovereignty of death. Very famous very famous saying, Jesus Christ, Isa, al-Masih alayhi salam, he said to one of his disciples, he said to him, let the dead bury their dead. One disciple came to Jesus, to Isa ibn Maryam, and he said to him, give me a permission, let me go and bury my father. Then Jesus said to him, let the dead bury their dead. That means the people who are alive, they are physically alive, but spiritually they are dead. So let the dead bury their dead. They are all dead, but they don't know. This man who died, he is dead physically. And those who are going to bury him are also dead, but spiritually. So he said, as if you want to say him, if you follow me, you will be alive. So Jesus Christ, because he came from God, his sovereignty, his domain is the sovereignty of life, while Satan dominion is dominion of death. So Satan dominion and sovereignty is a death area, while the heavenly sovereignty, the heavenly dominion and God's dominion, Allah dominion, is a dominion of life. So people who move from this domain to this domain will go through a resurrection process. They go through a resurrection process. They develop their eternal life from the life of death to the life of life, spiritual life. Actually, when people receive resurrection, they don't, there is no great change externally, you know. Yes, they look similar, they look normal. Little change, maybe their spirit, their face will be bright, and they will look happy, like and satisfied, like that. There is no external change actually between the resurrected people and dead people externally. But internally, of course, there is a great difference. Change is only will be a change are internally. The internal value of a resurrected man is different from the internal value of the non-resurrected man or the dead man. This is the meaning of resurrection. Therefore, we can say that resurrection, perfection, restoration, salvation, recreation, all these terms actually they are the same. So that resurrection is perfection and completion. Resurrection, real resurrection is kind of salvation, of recreation, because the process of recreation is going on internally. Externally, the human body is perfect. Externally, we are so good, we are so fine, we are perfect, our bodies, you know. But the problem is internally. And all the misery and the suffering and the misfortune of mankind resulted from an internal problem, internal, how to say, internal degradation or internal malfunctioning, you know. There is a problem internally. And the fall of man really delayed our perfection. That means, what does that mean? That means if Adam and Eve didn't eat from the tree and they realize their complete resurrection, then all of their descendants will be born in the resurrected sphere, will be born in the sphere of resurrection. I mean, it will be very easy for us to reach perfection. But actually, what happened is completely opposite to that, because Adam and Eve couldn't realize the resurrection, they couldn't realize completion, they couldn't realize perfection to reach, as we have explained this in the process of creation, the fall of man, to reach perfection and become like a vicegerent of God, because Adam and Eve couldn't realize that, then all of us, we need to be resurrected, because we are born like dead. Our spirit like paralyzed. Man has two kinds of senses. Physical senses, 5 physical senses, and also we have 5 spiritual senses. And because of the fall of man, we lost our 5 spiritual senses. We cannot communicate with spirituality. We cannot see the spirituality. We cannot communicate with God. Even many people, they don't believe there is God. This is the misery and the suffering of mankind. Actually, resurrection is not a one event. You cannot say this person is resurrected just like this. Okay, no, it's not like that. Resurrection is a long process. It's a long process. Since the fall of man, God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is working to resurrect man. And step by step, there is a process. And history of man is a history of resurrection. Since the fall of man up to today, all this history is the history of resurrection. The providence of God is the providence of resurrection. All the messengers from Noah to Abraham, to Moses, to Jesus, to Prophet Muhammad, they are all working for the sake of resurrecting mankind. So the resurrection is salvation. Saving man means resurrecting man, restoring man to his original position as a vicegerent of God, as a spiritually son of God, like that, son or daughter of God. So we can say that when you look at history, we can say that history, there is a form and a foundation stage of resurrection. There is a formation stage of resurrection. There is growing stage of resurrection. People are developing, growing spiritually little by little until they reach perfection. So from Adam, the time of Adam, the fall of Adam, up to Ibrahim alayhi salam, this period is called the period of putting the foundation for resurrection, laying the foundation for resurrection. People at that time, their spiritual level is low. Abraham is the man who laid the foundation for starting resurrection. So, for general people, of course, then from Abraham to Jesus time, until Isa ibn Maryam time, this is called the form spirit. The growing, like formation stage. This spirit grow up. This includes, of course, Musa alayhi salam. And people in this period, they communicate with God through following the law, the Sharia of Musa. The Israelites at that time, they follow Musa Sharia, Musa law. So because they follow it externally, they are committed to externally to the law, and maybe internally not yet. The faith and the belief, strong, clear belief in God was not completely concrete and clear in their minds. But anyhow, externally they are following the law and the Sharia, and they respect everything, and they follow God's order, which was written in the Torah. This is, we call it the form spirit. Those people are in a form spirit because this age is called the formation age, formation stage of resurrection. Then, from God's providential point of view, God is working for man's salvation. We can say that the period from Isa ibn Maryam alayhi salam up to today, Isa he receives the Injil, the gospel. So this age is called the growing age. Mankind in this age, their spirit grow up to a growing spirit. And this is, we call it the growing spirit, because this is a growing period, the growth stage and period of resurrection. And of course, in the future, from now up to the future, we have the completion stage of resurrection. This completion stage of resurrection is the kind of ihsan stage. So Islam actually includes both of these two levels of it includes the three levels: foundation and formation and growing stage, because Islam built on Abraham foundation, or the foundation stage, and Moses formation stage, and in Jesus growing stage. So in Islam, you can find all these levels. Generally, Muslims, they understand there is different level of, there is first Islam, and there is Iman, and there is Ihsan. So in Islam, you can find the growing stage when people are committed externally and following the orders and taking the direction externally. Those people are in the formation stage. And when people internally change, believing in God in their faith and in believing in Allah and the prophets and the angels and the last days and believing in Qada and Qadar, those people really, they are growing internally and they are in the growing spirit. Islam includes all these stages. So let us talk about a very important topic. We have to talk about it, and returning resurrection. People generally think that resurrection is an event Resurrection is a phenomena which will take place with dead people. Something to do with the graves and people who were already died and buried in their graves. Generally, people think like that. But actually, people who are alive need to be resurrected. Though we are living physically, but still spiritually we are dead if we are doing bad things, if we don't commit ourselves to God's direction, if we don't believe in God, if we don't do good for people, if we don't love God, if we don't love people, then we are spiritually dead actually, though physically we are alive. And therefore, we need to be resurrected. Then, the people who has died already in the spirit world, and of course they died before reaching perfection, and they died carrying with them all their problems, their sins, and their mistakes, and their all bad deeds. They take with them bad deeds and their good deeds, of course. But actually, most of the people, they have more bad deeds. Those people who died a long time ago up to today in the spirit world, it's true, they need to be resurrected. And they need to come down to the earth. This is true. This is why resurrection is mainly concerned about dead people, already died people. So those people, they need this phenomenon, we call it returning resurrection. Returning is coming back from the spirit world again to the earth. Every group of people, the believers, especially the believers, those who believe in Jesus Christ, they will come to the Christian. Those who believe in Prophet Muhammad will come to the Muslims. Those who believe in Judaism, Moses will come to Jewish people. This is in the last days. They all come down and then they work and help the living people, and then they can receive resurrection. Resurrection. And actually, when people died, they didn't die. Their spirit body came out from their physical body. A typical body, typical to the physical body. This body come out like 20 to 30 years old, young, because most of the people, they die when they are very old. Sometimes they are 90, 70, they are 80, 100 years old. They are not young, you know. So when they died, the spirit came out from their physical body. That spirit is not old, just came out like 20 to 30 years old, young man and young woman. So those people, they go to the spirit world, and in the last day, they have to come down and cooperate with the living people. Because this body is going to be resurrected. Resurrection is true. The phenomenon is true. It's going to take place, and dead people are going to be resurrected with their spiritual bodies. These spiritual bodies are typically to their physical bodies. It is a kind of a physical body in a different level. So as if their physical body is going to be resurrected, but not the body which was buried on the ground. It is another body. Another body will be born from the physical body, and this body is eternal. So this is second physical body, you can say. This is second spiritual body, you can say. This is spiritual body, which is similar exactly to the physical body. This body is going to be resurrected, and this is our internal existence, and it is corresponding the whole physical body, cell by cell, organ by organ. And this body is really a real living body. It is not a phantom. as people think, it is really a real spiritual being, typical to the physical body. So all people are going to be resurrected. Those who believe in God, and even those who doesn't, who in their physical life before they don't believe in God, they are going also to be resurrected. They can come down and cooperate and help those who are those also who don't believe in God, and they can guide them, and then they can grow together. So when you do good, the living people will grow spiritually, and also the spirit which is helping them also can grow spiritually, and this can level up the people spirit level, those for the spirits and those who are living on the earth. Very interesting. So this is a diagram. The first, Abraham lays the foundation for resurrection. So from Abraham to Jesus' time, this is like Old Testament time. It's called this form spirit. And then from Jesus' time up to here, this is called the New Testament era. This is including, of course, Islam. Islam came out here. This is a growing spirit, growing stage. And then when the second coming, actually now these days we are living in the last days. Maybe many people, they don't realize that. But from these days, from today up to the future, we are going to make, we are entering the complete testament era, completion of resurrection. So this is why these days we see mankind life externally well developed and well established and highly sophisticated. And this is a sign and the beginning of an internal change and internal completion. And this internal change and internal completion is actually nothing other than resurrection. It is just spiritual resurrection and growing to a new level. So there is a problem here. Many people, especially in some cultures in the East and Far East, in the Far East, they think that when people die, they are going to be reincarnated. They are going to be born again. If somebody died, then his spirit has to come to the earth to be born. They are going to be born new babies. That means some people, they will receive some spirits. And actually this phenomena, it is true, it is happening, but explanation is wrong, interpretation is wrong. Everybody born will be born with his own self, unique spiritual self. Nobody is going to borrow another person's spirit coming from the spirit world. But some spirits, through return direction, they come and cooperate with living people. So they make like a conjunction. This is called اقتران قرين. قال ربي إني كان لي قرين. وهذا الاقتران, this is a connection, is a kind of returning resurrection. So people, they didn't understand this reality, and they think that spirit coming down is a kind of reincarnation. And actually it is not a reincarnation. It is a returning resurrection. This is the true meaning of reincarnation. And this is the reality of reincarnation. So people, when people die, they need to come back and they need a resurrection. But some cultures, they couldn't understand the true meaning of resurrection, and they think that man is going to be born again. And they think some people, they be born like insects, and some people like in animals, some people like in human beings. But actually, this is not true. No, this is not true. Every human being has his unique personal spirit. God is giving a spirit to everybody. This is his responsibility. Everybody is responsible for himself. Anyhow, through resurrection, God is going to unite all religions. Unity of religion, we mean by unity to live in peace, to accept each other, to love each other, and to really live together in peace and to interchange ideas and understanding. By this, we can create one human family. So when the Jewish come to the Jewish, and the Christian come to the Christian from spirituality, Muslim will come to the Muslims, and of course Buddhists come to the Buddhist, and Confucianists come to the Confucianist, and other religions also will come to their followers on earth, and they all guide them to find out the second coming of the Messiah, because the resurrection, the final resurrection, especially in Islam, is connected to the coming of the Messiah. The Quran says, "Ma khalqukum wa la ba'thukum illa ka nafsin wahida." Your creation and your recreation is like oneself. You are created from oneself, and you are going to be recreated and resurrected also through oneself. Oneself is Adam and Eve. This is the original creation, and the one self of resurrection is the new Adam and new Eve. خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها. So this is Adam and Eve. So in the last days, a new Adam and a new Eve will come and will be born, and through them, people are going to be resurrected. So there is also another problem concerning resurrection, and especially return resurrection and growing resurrection. When people grow spiritually, when they grow spiritually, they reach the level from which Adam had fallen in the past. Because Adam and Eve, they are growing spiritually, they reached a special level, and then they committed mistake and they fell down. So people are growing spiritually throughout history. So some people will reach the level of Adam and Eve before the fall. So at that point, it is very high point and very sensitive point, people will find themselves like in a unique relation with God. A unique relation with God, because God created mankind. Everybody, every human being is unique. So when they grow up spiritually and they communicate with the spiritual and with God, they discover their uniqueness. Nobody is like them. So they start to think that they are the chosen one. Because for God, every human being who reaches perfection is a unique and is a perfect man and chosen by God. We are all like that. So many people at that level, they receive some revelation saying that he can feel that he's a Mahdi, or he's a Messiah, or he's a chosen one, or he's a second coming of Prophet Muhammad, second coming of Jesus, Isa ibn Maryam. But this is not true. Only one person in the last days is going to be chosen as the second coming and the chosen person of God. So this is spiritual phenomena take place in the last days. And actually, it is well spread in our today's world. There are many people now in our days, people they claim that they are Isa ibn Maryam, as they are the Mahdi. We have many stories like this. Many people really, when they reach that stage of perfection, they think that they are the only chosen one, and that is not true actually. It is true, only one person is the central chosen person. They are all chosen, but everyone is chosen in his field, in his area. But the central figure is only one person. So all of them, they should come together and join together with this central figure. They have to find out who is that central figure. So thank you so much. Here we finish our lecture and see you again in another lecture. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.